Okay, let's go ahead and hear from our winning crew chief in tonight's 56th annual Coca Cola 600. And that's Darian Grubb. He's a crew chief of the number 19 Subway Toyota, Joe Gibbs Racing. Darian, congratulations on this win here tonight. Talk about how you got that number 19 Toyota to victory lane here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Thank you very much. It was honestly a struggle of a day for us. We qualified pretty well, started up front, and just started falling back. We lost 2 or 3 positions on every run, just kind of going backwards. Didn't have quite the speed we wanted to have. We got way too tight, especially when the sun went down. But we started making our way back up through. We had a couple of adjustments that did seem to start finally helping. 2 runs from the end, we realized that this has got potential for a fuel mileage race because we'd hit right on our fuel windows. Then that last caution came out 12 laps before the fuel window that we wanted to pit on, and everybody pitted there because we had to. It was basically the end of the fuel run. And then when the actual last caution came out, it was right on the lap we were going to pit under green flag to make it to the end. And I was really surprised that a lot of people didn't come down and pit when we did. We were actually planning to do 2 tires just to make sure we could get enough fuel to finish. And then since hardly anybody came, we took 4, filled up, and good to go to the end.
Well, it certainly paid off. Great call on your part. And speaking of great calls, gentleman sitting to your right, Coach Joe Gibbs has made plenty of those during his career. Coach, congratulations. 2 straight wins here. Last week in the Sprint All-Star race with the number 11, and now you get the number 19 into the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Congratulations, Coach. Talk about the win and how big that is for your team and for the number 19 team with Carl Edwards.
Well, I think everybody, Carl, all of us, really appreciate Darian. That was awesome. I was so focused on the 11 at that point, and then Denny was sick. I was over there because I was afraid we were going to have to get him out of the car, and so I kind of lost track of everything, and I turned around with 9 to go, and I was standing next to the top there, and I said, we can't make this, can we? And so Darian just made a great call. I think it's special in a lot of ways. It's our 4th car, adding the 4th car, Subway, you coming over with us, which was really awesome. Eris is big on that car, obviously, carries a big part of it. They're a new sponsor. We got sports clips on there. And then to have Carl, get his first win for us here tonight. So in so many ways, it's a big deal for us. And I think as much as anything, Darian can talk about it, but we've been way off on the intermediate stuff. It's really been a disappointment for us for quite a while. We've worked extremely hard. It shows you how hard our sport is because we've had a tough time catching up. And I'm not saying we've caught up, but for the last 2 races here, it's a big deal for us for all those reasons. I appreciate everybody back at the shop that's worked that hard. Many times they don't get to experience the thrill of being in winner's circle. But it's also big for Toyota. I just want to say that was their the 300th Cup start. But it was also their 300th win over all the series. So it's a big deal for Toyota.
Certainly was, Coach. 300 wins across all 3 national series, 300th start. It's a big night. Congratulations to Toyota and Dave Wilson. Certainly congratulations to all the folks that are with your all's organization. Let's open it up to questions right now for Coach Gibbs and Darian Grubb. We'll start way in the back. Back there, my man Kyle, and then we'll go to Bob, and then to Jared.
Kyle Magda, Race Chaser Online, guys, to your right. This is for Darian. Your first win with Carl tonight. Did you find it a little bit ironic that you beat him in 2011 for the championship on fuel mileage, and you're with him tonight here in Victory Lane?
Not really ironic. It might be a fuel mileage win, but it's also whoever gets from the start-finish line to the start-finish line after 600 miles the fastest. So it doesn't really matter how you get there. We came out in front. In Homestead, beating him for the championship, we played our cards right there. It was weather, fuel mileage, and speed all the way around. It was whoever came out of the pits the last time with the lead, and that ended up being us. So now we got to win together, so now I guess we can wipe the slate clean and go on and win championships together.
Let's go to Bob Pockris, and then we'll go to Jared Turner.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. For Coach, have you talked to Denny at all since after the race? Can you give us an update on how he's doing? And then also just how important it is that you have three guys pretty much in the chase and I guess probably can focus on Kyle.
Yeah, from the winner's circle, as soon as I got in there, we called, and they took Denny to the medical center, but Austin was with him, and Austin said, hey, they checked everything, and they just felt like he was dehydrated, and they were IVing him. So he felt good. So a good update there, and we're glad of that because I know there's no way he's getting out of that car, and so you're a little concerned about that. It's a big deal having three in the chase. We can focus now on Kyle. It was a big night for us too with Kyle to have him come back. Pretty miraculous, really, to the kind of injuries he had to come back in 11 weeks. I think that says a lot about his passion and his wanting to do this. It's a big deal for him, and for him to go 600 miles a night and to be up front. Did a good job with it. I think he finished 11th. So a big deal for us all the way around, and all of the Mars people were here this weekend. We had Skittles on the car. That was a big deal for us.
Let's go to Jared, and it looks like Steve has a question. Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, Jared Turner, FoxSports.com. Congratulations, Darian. If you had to put a number on it, what percentage chance did you give that strategy of working out, and how confident were you, and how concerned were you about it not working out?
I actually wasn't that concerned about it. That was really our only play at that point. We knew we had to have tires to be able to try to compete with those guys. We were going to come pit anyway. We had tried to stay out before, and it just didn't work with 3 laps on tires, and that was 4. So coming into pit really was a no-brainer for us. Then I was, like I said before, I was really surprised that more people did not pit at that point. But I guess our fuel mileage was better than most to where we could make it from that point on. And everything just worked out in our favor.
Joe, Steve Reed from the Associated Press. Just to clarify, they said Denny had a migraine headache. Is that correct? Is that right?
Yeah. He had come over the radio and said, hey, I got a real bad headache. He just said, hey, just make sure when I get out that I got something to take for it. But he also, I think he felt just overall sick, but evidently just really dehydrated. And so I think when we got the report from the medical center, I felt a lot better.
Let's go to Kenny Bruce and Greg, and then Stan. Kenny Bruce right here in the blue ball cap, and then Greg.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Darian, have you guys noticed any difference in the Goodyear tire, the multi-zone deal that they've been running? Has that impacted your setups or anything like that?
Not particularly. I mean, it gives us a little bit more of a margin of durability. This used to be one of the tracks we'd come to, and we'd be really nervous, especially if the rain came or something, the track got green. There's no way you can make a fuel run on the first set or two. You'd end up with cords on the outside and the inside of the tire. Now that they've gone to the dual zone, the inside shoulder is not an issue, and now it's just I think some of the Xfinity cars showed a little issue on the outside of the right front. But with the Cup cars, we haven't had any issues with that. Didn't see any blistering or any cords or anything through the entire weekend. So I think they've got the combination right for durability. It does give up a little bit of grip versus what the old tire did, but we'll pay that price to have some consistency and durability.
Does that impact, giving up that little bit of grip, does that impact the passing?
I don't think so. I mean, everybody's got the same tires, so if you give everybody more grip, it's going to be the same race. I don't think it's going to be if you're off, it might Band-Aid it a little bit more to where everybody's even more consistent if you have the tire to make up for it. But at least with this, if you get your setup right, you're not going to have the issues.
Congratulations, you guys. Greg Engel, Examiner.com. Darian, do you know what the heck was going on with his feet beginning? And he's sticky. Do you have any idea what that is? And Coach, obviously, Denny looked like he was going to be first it looked like Denny was going to be the Gibbs guy, and then it looked like Kenseth. Did you kind of, was it a big surprise that Carl came back and won? But I'd like to find out about the sticky feet first, because that's good.
Yeah, the sticky feet, that's just a property of exactly what we were setting on pit road prior to the race. The way the pre-race ceremonies are set up here, we have all the military out there, which is an awesome show. It's awesome to have all those soldiers out there with the big American flag. But you're actually backing the cars into the pit stalls, and that's been an age-old secret that everybody in the garage does is they spray their pit box down with. The only thing that's legal now is Coke syrup. So it's fitting for the Coke 600 that the team spray Coke syrup on the pit box. Carl had stepped in a nice big puddle of it, evidently, and got into the car and didn't realize it. So he got it all over his shoe and the pedals and everything else, too. So we handed him a rag later on to clean it off and some baby powder to tone it down, and it seemed to help a little bit, but it was still sticky.
Yeah, I think for us, to have 4 cars, you're always I normally wind up going where we're having the most problems. But today, like I said, I was more focused on the 11 because we're up front and Denny was having a problem. And then, of course, it was a surprise to me, but it was a great surprise and extremely well done. We talked about Darian and how smart of a call that was.
Go to Stan, and then we'll go upstairs to the press box.
Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. Coach, for the last 10 days, your organization has pretty much owned Charlotte Motor Speedway and everything that's done. And on both nights, last Saturday night and tonight, your son has been here. So how critical and important is that, not only to you, but to your team, that your son was here on both of those nights?
I think it's very important. Everybody, and like I've thanked everybody before, everybody in the NASCAR family, and certainly on our race team, and to have JD there. The last time when I had to apologize to him because he was in the room and I didn't know it. I was talking like he wasn't here. But we had the whole family here, JD's side. And we had all the grandkids. It was just a great celebration for us, and JD couldn't be happier. It was a big deal for us, and a big deal to have him at the racetrack. And everybody really, they really, really kind of take care of him. Everybody does. We appreciate it.
Let's go upstairs, press box.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. For Darian, you guys have, like they said, you've won these 2 races at Charlotte. That being said, at times it looked like the Chevys did have the dominant piece. Truex has led the most laps at Kansas, and here the 4, the 41, both strong. You're very familiar with the Hendrick group. Just talk a little bit about whether or not you feel like Toyota has caught them. Is there still work that needs to be done? And kind of what's going on when guys like Jimmy and Kevin, are having trouble, feel like they're spinning out, coming through the corners when they hit the gas? Is that just more of an aero issue?
I think that specific thing is more of an aero issue and just pure setup. But I definitely think we have more speed to keep going and trying to find. We did not have the best setup tonight, that's for sure. We've been building more speed in the cars every week. That's a testament to what everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota and TRD have done. We've dug in really hard for the last year and a half and gotten a lot better. And the speed's starting to show, obviously, with this qualifying 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 11th. I think we were struggling to do that before. So I think we're very much more competitive now. We want to go out and be dominant, though, so that's what we're going to keep working towards.
Let's hear from our race winner right now. That's Carl Edwards. He's the driver of the number 19 Subway Toyota. This was his 24th career win in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, his first win in 2015. And it gets him into the 2015 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Carl, congratulations. Very exciting win for you here tonight. It's got to be.
Yeah, it does not feel like one of 24 wins. This one feels pretty big to me. So I just cannot thank Joe Gibbs and everyone at Joe Gibbs Racing enough. Everyone took a big chance. Darian took a chance. All these crew guys came over here and took a chance. Our sponsors took a chance on making this 4th team happen. And up to this point in the year, we have just basically done a good job holding it all together and staying focused. And we've not delivered the results that we all planned on. So to get this win and to put ourselves in a position to be in the chase and to be able to now take a deep breath and step back and work on all the little things that we know we need to work on to be championship level team. This is just a huge opportunity. I mean, it's great. So I don't think it's sunk in yet for me.
Take questions now for Carl. We'll start here with Pete. Right here, please.
Pete Yakabelli, Associated Press. Carl, you kind of touched on it there for a second. What's the difference? How does this feel compared to some of the other firsts of your NASCAR Sprint Cup career?
This one feels different. I don't know how to explain it other than to just say that it's a big relief, and more than that, it's just a big opportunity. I mean, I've been doing this long enough to know that you're a lot better off to go to the races in the position that we're going to go now. Where you go there with a little more relaxed. We can focus on being the best team we can be in those final 10 races. I can let Darian and these guys work on what they're good at, and that's making the cars better and figuring out the communication. And instead of going and trying to fight and claw for a points position or a win, now we can go and just become better, and that's what we need. So this is just a huge opportunity for us.
Let's go to the press box. Questions for Carl, Coach Gibbs, or Darian? Go ahead.
Chris Knight, Kitchens.com. Carl, you were able to give Toyota their 300th win and your first win for them. How'd that make you feel?
It's great. I mean, I had the opportunity to go to Georgetown, Kentucky, about a week and a half ago to the plant where they build the Camrys. I got to meet a lot of the folks that are building these cars there in Kentucky, and I've had the chance to go out to California and go to Toyota's headquarters and to TRD and see how much work goes into this. And I mean, it's really a true partnership. And Toyota's been behind me 100%, and it really feels good to get them the 300th win. And this is the first step to delivering them that championship trophy at the end of the year. It's cool to be a part of this Toyota team.
Let's stay upstairs. One more question, and we're going to go to George.
Jeff Buck from USA Today. Carl, you went up in the stands again to celebrate with your people. Did you get?
Well, I saw a lot of people with other guys' shirts on and stuff, but we're working on the merchandise sales stuff right now. So,
what was that experience like? I mean, I know you've done that a couple times. Do you plan to keep doing that? It looks like it could be dangerous a little bit.
I believe they are serving alcoholic beverages at this property. I noticed a couple folks. But no, everybody was fine, and everybody's having a good time up there, and it's cool. I mean, it's just neat to go up there and see how excited people are. I tell you, it really is one of the neatest things, and I hope some of the other drivers will do it too. But to go up there and stand just a little ways in the grandstands and look back at the racetrack, and you look up and down to your left and right, and there's just a huge amount of people, and those fans are what make the sport. So that was really fun.
Let's come downstairs to George. Go ahead.
Yeah, over here. Carl, George Diaz, Orlando Sentinel. Was there much of a worry factor with Biffle in the last few laps, especially since he did seem to be losing ground on you there?
I was worried. Greg Biffle is tenacious. I mean, he is just an extremely tough competitor. And I was driving pretty hard. Darian told me we could make it. I don't know if he's lying to me or not, how close we were, but I can't tell when he's lying yet. But Greg a couple times closed, and I would miss my line a little, and he'd close in, and then I started thinking, man, maybe he's been holding back, maybe he's going for it now. But it seemed like we were about the same speed. So, but yeah, all the things that I've screwed up and have had happen this year, and all this bad luck we've had, I figured something would happen, but it just worked out.
All right, let's go to Hill right here, and then we'll go back over here to Kelly. Kelly had a question. Go ahead.
Carl Hill, Overton, WIXC Radio. How happy were you to see guys like Truex, Harvick, Kurt Busch pit when you didn't, and they didn't gamble on fuel? Was that a good omen for you?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's great when those guys pull off the racetrack and you don't have to stop. So, I can't thank Darian enough for seeing that opportunity. I mean, that really, I believe, is one of Darian's strengths on the box, is that he seems to be very calculated, and whenever there's an opportunity, he makes the most of the opportunity, and that was just a great job of putting us in that position. I mean, we were not going to win this race on pure speed. That was pretty obvious in the first 550 miles or so. So he put us in a position to win, and those guys were definitely fast, and that was Darian beat them tonight.
Let's go here, front row, Kelly.
Kelly Crandall with PopularSpeed.com. My first question, I guess, could be for Carl or Darian. I don't know if I heard correctly, but I believe at one point, Carl, you came over and said that you were trying to run wide open because of the exhaust or something, and Darian, you said you were keeping track of that. So first, can you just explain what that was about?
Yeah, the exhaust changed tone at some point, so Carl thought he had a problem, so he started running more throttle. We think it was actually like an exhaust crack or something like that, exhaust leak. But just watching lap times and stuff, we knew he wasn't using a lot more throttle at that point. Based on lap times, it takes a certain amount of throttle to get around there, so we knew it wasn't getting any worse at that point. So we just told him basically stay the course and everything was going to be fine.
Yeah, see, that's a nice way of saying I told him something, and he's like, just ignore Carl. We got it all figured out.
No, the first rule by the owner is never say we're blowing up, okay? Because that's a heart attack. I'm down on the floor.
I thought
just
we were.
wait, and if it happens, it happens. No, but we knew we weren't blowing up. So anyway, that was scary.
And for Carl, you admitted back in Martinsville that you felt like you had to calm yourself down and just focus on getting back to basics because you were trying too hard. How cognizant have you been of that since then?
I've been trying very hard. I'm extremely competitive, but I have been trying very hard to pace myself and to be smart and not do stupid things or try too hard. But I'm curious now to see if we go out and just start hauling the mail and winning races left and right. It might have been me putting too much pressure on myself, but I don't know. I think that we'll see how it goes the next few weeks. But I do know that there are a lot of new things, and with all the new things, all the things I'm trying to learn, and Darian and I learning to work together and all this stuff, I believe this gives us an opportunity to not learn under such pressure, and that'll be great. So yeah, I welcome this win hugely.
Let's go to Bob Pockris, and then we'll go to Greg, and then we'll go upstairs, and then we'll get to y'all. Go ahead.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Carl, you said it's a big win. You talk about relief. Considering you didn't dominate this race, are you more excited or more relieved?
I don't know. I guess I've like I said earlier, I've been doing this a long time, and I just have this feeling that we are gearing up for some really great stuff. I mean, everything that's been going on at the shop, all of TRD's involvement, the engine program, and how much everyone's working on that. I really feel like we're just gearing up to be in a great position towards the second half of this season. And for me, I guess it's relief because now that we have a win, we don't have to worry about points as much. We don't have to focus on little things. Now we can just focus on building that championship run. And that's really the way these seasons go now. You get that win, you put yourself in position, and then you focus on making something happen those final 10 races, and now we can do that.
Go to Greg in the middle there.
GregEngleExaminer.com. Congratulations, buddy. A couple years ago, we were at Homestead, and it was probably one of the lowest points because you just lost the championship, in a large part to this gentleman sitting beside you. You won this race.
Denny Hamlin has been treated and released from the Infield Care Center.
I'm sorry, Greg.
And you won tonight in large part due to this guy playing a fuel mileage race, just like you did in Homestead. Can you talk about the up and down of that?
Well, one of the first talks we had is we were in the office. I'm like, all right, let's talk about this. How in the hell did you know it was going to rain at Homestead, and how did you make that call? And it was really cool to be able to talk to Darian about that because, yes, that was really the neatest, most tough battle I've ever been a part of in racing, and Darian and Tony beat me. So it's nice to work with him now, and I can see why he did so well. He's very good.
Let's go to the press box. Go ahead, questions.
Joe Hunter from the Charlotte Observer. Carl, you now join Denny and Matt being, for all intents and purposes, locked into the chase. That leaves Kyle. Based on your experience with him over the years as a competitor and what you saw him do tonight, what do you think his chances are of joining the three of you in the chase this year?
I would say they're pretty good. I mean, Kyle is, he's spectacular, and it appeared tonight he was very, very fast, faster than me. So, I am prepared to have to battle him, for the championship. I don't think anyone ever counts Kyle Busch out.
Go ahead, press box. Nothing else? Back downstairs. Who has questions? Raise your hand. Let's go here to Mike. Mike on the front row. Then we'll go to Stan and in the back, and then to Deb.
And I'm enjoying this, by the way, guys. So we can do this all night. Don't hold back.
We got plenty of tape.
This is
Carl.
nice.
We got plenty of tape.
This feels real good.
Go ahead.
Mike Neff from FrontStretch.com. For Darian, we went to the tapered spacer this year, but corner speeds seem to be up a little bit. From a fuel mileage perspective, has the fuel mileage that cars are getting changed much, and have you really had to recalculate that, or has it been pretty much what you had in your old notebooks?
We've definitely had to recalculate it. It seems to have a lot more to do with the tire selection at the racetrack now than it does with the speeds. We are going faster corner speeds and a lot more throttle time. But if the tire falls off a lot like it does here, your fuel mileage actually gets better. You start to use less and less fuel as you go on through the run because we slow down about a second and a half through a fuel run here. Some other tracks, the tires don't fall off that much, and the fuel mileage is actually worse just because of the percentage of throttle of the lap.
Go ahead, Stan.
Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com, right straight down the middle. Carl, you and I stood right outside this room on Thursday and talked before qualifying even occurred. And you seemed extremely confident then that this is where you would be sitting tonight. Did that get interrupted at all throughout the weekend?
Yeah, I'd say for about, I don't know how long the race was, but for about 500 miles, I was not feeling that confident. First couple laps, I felt pretty good, and then we kind of steadily went backwards. We took the opportunity to make a couple of changes during pit stops, and it cost us a little track position. And then I had a couple of poor restarts, and it just felt like we were going to be about a 10th place car. And that's what I talked about earlier, is just Darian's ability to look past all that and say, hey, our opportunity to win this race is to do it on fuel mileage, and he did that. So, yes, I did not – when I talked to you on Thursday, I didn't think we were going to win because of our good fuel mileage strategy. I thought we were going to win because of speed. But Denny, those guys were fast, and it looked like Kyle was very fast. So we will go back as a group and look at that and be better next time we come here.
Let's go in the back to Kyle. Raise your hand, Kyle.
Kyle Magda, Race Chaser Online over here, guys. Carl, looked like most of the night, at least when I was watching it, that most of the racing, they were pretty much close with the speeds. You talk about the intermediate program. Did you think that when you pitted there on that final caution, you would make it with 60-some laps to go on fuel?
Yeah, the speeds are very close because you rely on these aerodynamic devices on the car, and so once everybody gets kind of strung out, you're limited by the guy in front of you. And so if you have a very good car or you're able to run a different line, sometimes you can close up and pass a guy. But we were just good enough to hang on, not really good enough to go up and make a lot of things happen. So that's what I saw from my seat. And then as far as fuel mileage, I really didn't quite understand how off sequence Darian was getting. I didn't realize that he was putting us in a position to beat all of the guys in front of us with that call. So, and I think that's probably by design. He didn't want to talk about it too much on the radio, so he did a great job with that.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Darian Grubb? Darian Grubb. Anybody questions for Darian? We're going to release him then. Darian, go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, questions. Next door there to Kyle. Go ahead, sir.
Carl, James Pike, Race Chaser Online, way in the back. First one at Charlotte. Given the history and the prestige of the 600, it might not be the 500, but it's a race you can stack up with the likes of, Indianapolis, Darlington, the July race at Daytona. Does this victory carry a little bit more significance and meaning to you compared to some of the other ones you've won in your career?
Yes, it does. I spent a little time on YouTube and watched some of the races from here from the 60s, they up on the big screen they showed that I believe it was this morning they had that show on, and it was going over a lot of the history here. And I mean, I guess I didn't realize how many great races there had been here and how much had happened in NASCAR here. And so to be on the list of guys that have won the 600, I mean, that's huge. Not just for all. I mean, that's bigger than just all the reasons I'm happy to win for this year. I mean, that's something that I'll be proud of for my whole life.
Okay, who else had questions, please? Deb?
I can repeat it if you want.
We've watched the Hendrick organization dominate the month of May. This month of May has been your month. What does this mean to you as long as you've been in the sport?
Well, I think that's a good point. I always reflect on the people you go up against. I think the biggest thrill in pro sports is you're going against the best people in the world. When you think about Penske and Hendricks and Stuart Haas and Roush, you're going up against people that are, and I'm leaving out a few. Obviously, tonight the 78 car was strong, and those guys deserve a lot of credit. And so I think that's part of the thrill. The thrill is you get a chance to try and match up with them. We know how dominant they've been. It's a thrill for me to be a part of a sport where you have a chance to do this. And so, it's really a big deal for us. And so we appreciate the opportunity. I get excited every time we come to the racetrack because you got a chance to do something like beat some of the real good people we go against. The other point I wanted to make, too, is Memorial Day and the fact that today the fireworks and everything, the great job that the track here does a great job of celebrating Memorial Day. And we think many times, I think about all the people who sacrificed so much to protect us. And so many of those have been hurt or paid the ultimate price. And it's a huge day for all of us, and it's a thrill to be a part of a win.
Let's go over here to Jerry, right here.
Jerry Jordan kicking the tires. Carl, another driver that was in NASCAR won the other race today, Juan Pablo Montoya. Can you talk about when he was here at racing and then how special it is for you to win this race on that same day?
I don't think I've ever seen Juan so excited ever in all the time I've spent around him. So that was really cool to see his excitement, see how much that win meant to him. He is such a tough competitor. I mean, just a real racer, and that was neat to see him get that victory. For his whole team. That's huge for Roger Penske and those guys. Everything they put into this sport, and the sport of auto racing. So. This day is such a cool day of racing. It's neat to be, like Coach Gibbs says, neat to be one of the guys that won today on such a special day.
Let's go to the front row right here. Gentleman's got a question, and then we're going to take two more. Gentleman here, and then we'll finish with Kyle. Go ahead.
Hey, Carl, this is Jason Beck with the Fourth Turn. You gave Darren a lot of credit, and rightfully so, but you've won a lot of fuel mileage races, and, it has a little bit to do with the right foot there, I'm sure. What do you? I know you don't want to give all your secrets away, but what do you do a little bit different that makes you good at this?
Tonight I didn't have to do much because of when we pitted and the fuel mileage we must have been getting already. So I used to have a bunch of tricks and things I did, but now we got the EFI data, and so you can't really hide any of that stuff. But yeah, I've had good crew chiefs who are willing to take gambles, and Bob Osborne and I, we won a couple of those that we shouldn't have probably won. It was just really spectacular fuel mileage there. And then all the people at TRD that work so hard on getting the most fuel mileage they can. It's such a huge effort from Toyota and TRD's part to make these engines the best they can be in all aspects. And so, I'm grateful to be driving one of these cars with these engines.
Go ahead, that gentleman right there, and then we'll finish with Kyle. Yes, sir.
Okay, Roger. My name is Sergeant Griffith, 3rd Brigade Public Affairs, 82nd Division Airborne. The question that I wanted to ask you, the driver, was on your car you had a Seaman Thrasher.
Yes.
how did that name get put on your card? Were you the one that chose it, or was it given to you by a random list of names that of soldiers that passed away?
Thanks for asking that. So Terry Thrasher, I call her my Aunt Terry. She's basically a second mom to me. She helped with everything with our family when I was a kid, and to this day she helps me with so many things. And Lynn Thrasher is her father, and he served in the Navy during World War II. He served on a ship that provided supplies and munitions during the Battle of Okinawa. And the story is for 16 or so nights, I mean, they were out there, shells going over their heads, and Mr. Thrasher ended up with some shrapnel and was honored for that. But I didn't know any of that until just recently. I knew him as just this great old guy that was such an amazing family man. He lived up by the Michigan International Raceway, and he's a huge racing fan, and we go up there and visit him, and I always thought of him as kind of like a grandpa figure, just a really cool guy. And so I learned all this stuff when we were talking about who to put on the car. I talked to my Aunt Terry, and she said it would be great. And then I learned all this about him and what he'd done, and it's really a great honor to carry him across for the checker flag tonight. That was really cool for me.
Thank you. The last thing I wanted to get was a quote for all of your current fans and your new fans in the military, because I'm in the military. So, so I wanted to get a quote from you.
Well, I think I can speak on behalf of everyone here at this racetrack and everybody involved in the sport, just saying thank you. We all understand that you guys sacrifice a lot and that you take huge risks to defend our country, and that our country's made great by our freedoms and our liberties and the things that separate us from a lot of the places in the world, and we appreciate you defending those things. Thank you.
Thank you. Kyle, finish it up with you.
Carl, you mentioned Homestead earlier with Darian back in 2011 there earlier. With the whole fuel mileage deal night, were you thinking back at all to those wins you had back in 2008 with that Homestead in Texas, stretching the fuel like you did, and did you find it ironic at all that you went on fuel mileage with your first race with Darian Grubb?
That's interesting. Yeah, I guess I didn't think of it as ironic, but I am grateful that Darian, as a competitor, he beat me with that a number of times, I guess. He beat a lot of people just with the ability to look at the race from a bunch of different angles and not always win just because the car is the fastest. And that's really tough to do, I think. I know it would be tough for me as a crew chief to do. So to see that Darian, he truly has that ability. He's put me in some positions that I don't think a lot of folks have noticed, but during the year so far, we've been in a bad spot or I've had a bad restart and we've fallen back, and he's done some things strategy-wise that have always put us up front. And he's very good at that. Bob Osborne was good at that. Jimmy Finnick was very good. I feel like I've worked with a lot of good crew chiefs, and I'm very fortunate because it's not easy to do that.
Thank you very much, Carl and Coach Gibbs and everybody over at the number 19 team. It's certainly been a great couple of weeks here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and a big win tonight. Certainly topped it off, Carl. Very exciting to see you do that backflip again. Thank you, Coach.
I wanted to say to Marcus, make sure you tell Bruton, thank you. Yes. Okay? Tell him we're going to lunch and tell him I'm going to buy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.